Most often, people thought that philosophy is only for the priests, and most especially for those who are studying for priesthood. Most of all, the logic has been scrapped out from the college curriculum. Few people in the society today spend much time studying either philosophy or logic. This is unfortunate because so much relies on both. Philosophy is a fundamental component of all areas of human inquiry, while logic is the basis that underpins philosophy. Understanding the relation between logic and philosophy will help you grasp the importance of each. So once again, I'm Sean Xavier Alcalita, and from this time, I'm going to discuss the importance of logic and philosophy. Okay, so philosophy comes from the Greek word philosophia. So that's from Plato. That's how Plato defined philosophy as the love of wisdom, providing two important starting points like love, which is a passion or pursuit, and the other one is wisdom. It pertains to knowledge, understanding, or an ability to discern well before taking an action. Okay, so philosophy sometimes seems to be pursued without passion, as if it were a technical subject like engineering, mathematics. Although there is a role for dispassionate research, philosophy must derive from some passion for the ultimate goal, a reliable, accurate understanding of ourselves and our world. Then, philosophy has something to say when it comes to science, art, and even religion, where philosophy provides some useful concepts on objectivity versus subjectivity, like politics and even medicine. That is why in philosophy, you tend to question everything. You question about yourselves, you question about the reality, whether am I living here is real, what you see is real, or is it a matter of illusion? Or which is real, a world living here or the world that is something up there? We tend to question about our morality. What is good? How can we define good? What is beauty? What is art? What is politics? Does God really exist? We tend to question about God. If God really exists, why is there evil? So these are the questions that are that we tend to discuss within the bounds of philosophy. Okay, so let's proceed. Logic. Okay, logic is the science of how to evaluate arguments and reasoning. The most important tool in logic is critical thinking, so which is a process of evaluation that uses logic to separate truth from falsehood and reasonable from unreasonable beliefs. So, if you want to be a better if you want to better evaluate the various claims, ideas, and arguments you encounter, you need a better understanding of basic logic and the process of critical thinking. Okay, so logic is not a matter of opinion. When it comes to evaluating arguments, there are specific principles and criteria that you should use. If you use those principles and criteria, then you are using logic. If you are not, then you're not justified in claiming to use logic to be logical. This is important because sometimes people don't realize that what it sounds reasonable isn't necessarily logical. This reasoning process, using principles of logic in your reasoning, thinking, and arguments, is critical to the practice of philosophy. Okay, so according to Rick Lewis, an editor of the magazine Philosophy Now, he said that just as philosophy underlies all branches of human inquiry, so logic is the most fundamental branch of philosophy. Philosophy is based on reasoning. Logic is the study of what makes a sound argument, and also of the kind of mistakes that we can make in reasoning. So, study logic and you will become a better philosopher and a clearer thinker generally. Okay, so logic is a way of thinking clearly and basing your reasoning on objective facts that you use in practicing philosophy. So that is why logic is a tool to philosophy. And according to Aristotle, it is what we call it as the organon, which means a tool or an instrument to philosophy. So here, Lewis uses the example of Mr. Spock of Star Trek, the logic spouting alien on the starship USS Enterprise in the original Star Trek series, no? And Spock explaining logic to Captain James Kirk in one of the episodes, noting that logic, Captain, is the general science of inference. Deductive logic, in which a conclusion follows from the set of premises, is distinguished from inductive logic, which studies in a way in which premises may support a conclusion without entailing it. Aristotle is generally regarded as the first great earth logician, and Aristotelian logic dominated the subject on your planet until the 19th century. That's according to Mr. Spock of Star Trek. And basically, class, your college logic, your Philo 2 and your college logic is basically Aristotelian logic, the logic of Aristotle.
I would not presume to debate you. That is wise. In any case, were I to invoke logic, logic clearly dictates that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
But is that logical? Surely we must.
Logic is the beginning of wisdom, Clarence, not the end.
That was Mr. Spock. Logic is the beginning of wisdom, not the end. So let us try to go back to the ancient times where Mr. Spock was referring to Aristotle as also the father of logic. No? So here, Aristotle is indeed the first great logician, but the famous thinker is remembered today primarily as a great Greek philosopher. Okay, so Aristotle used logic to underpin his philosophy in developing the method of deductive reasoning, and then applied those two concepts of science, metaphysics, ethics, and politics. Go back far enough, and it's clear that you cannot separate philosophy and logic. You cannot have one without the other. Philosophy is based on the idea that you need to think clearly to grapple with the major and minor questions of the universe. Logic is the way to accomplish the Herculean task. So here, that is why, guys, in logic, in logic, the primary tool or the primary objective in studying logic is to search for truth using the principles of thinking. Okay, so here we can say that logic has three divisions. The first topic that we're going to discuss with is what we call it the simple apprehension. So simple apprehension is a mental ability whereby we can determine what the thing is all about, or who that person is. So that is simple apprehension. Next one is judgment. So that will be the next one, no? And the last topic for the logic for this semester is reasoning, and for this one, reasoning is the heart of logic. So you'll be going to be taught on how to you're going to learn on how to think critically and using reasoning as a process of thinking critically. Okay. Okay, so that's all for this introduction to logic.